Good morning, students. So today we are going to see the different techniques to control the emission which is coming out from the thermal power plant. In the previous lectures, we saw the different types of the measurement instruments, so which will measure the level of pollutant which are present in the flue gases or in the different feed water. After measurement, we are going to see the control of this particular pollution which is present in the flue gases or in the water feed water which is provided to the boiler, etc. Particularly, we are going to concentrate on the different techniques which are controls the pollution level coming out from the flue gases. As we know, most of the pollutant or the main cause of the pollution which is flue gases coming out from the burner, or we can say from the furnace. So controlling the level or levels of different pollutants which are present in the flue gases, we require some devices with different methods or the techniques, and those techniques we are going to see here. Not details of these each and every techniques. We are going to just overview these techniques, and depending upon the pollutant levels, you can apply the specified technique to that particular power plant. Now, there are different types of the emission gases which are coming out from the flue gases, like the nitrogen oxides, different oxides of the nitrogen, then the carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. Those are because of the incomplete combustion, that to carbon monoxide. Carbon dioxide, it is having high global warming potential, so we have to control those pollution. Similarly, sulfur oxides are there, and different types of particular matters are there. So those are the main causes or the major reasons for the air pollution. And to control those particular pollutants, we required different types of the techniques or the methods. Okay, so in this particular case, we are going to use the different techniques which will control, or different systems which will control the emission, which will remove the emittent pollutant from the flue gases, and then after that we will going to release those flue gases into the atmosphere. Now, the first we are going to see the different techniques which without using the emission control devices. So these are some methods through which we can control the pollutants level without using any type of control device or any type of control machine. So first one, that is the process change. So first of all, the flue gases, why the pollutants are present in the flue gases? There are many reasons. One of the reason is incomplete combustion or the not efficient combustion of the fuels. So in that case, we can change the process, we can change the method of the combustion, and we can achieve or we can reduce the emission. Similarly, we can use the different sources of the energy, like the wind energy, geothermal energy, hydroelectric energy, which is nearly having zero air pollutant. Okay, then we can change the fuel. That is another method. As we know, the different types of the sulfur oxides which are coming out or which are present in the flue gases, it is because those sulfur is already present in the fuel. So if we use low sulfur fuel rather than the high sulfur fuel, or if we use the fuel which is having low sulfur content, then automatically the sulfur present in the flue gases is also going to be less. So by changing the fuel, we can also control the emission. Another point, that is the good operating practices. Okay, means maintaining these particular different types of the boilers, or we can say the internal combustion engines or furnaces. By good housekeeping, we can also reduce the emission. That is good operating practices. Then plant shutdown, and that is not feasible solution. We saw that is plant by shutting down the plant, we cannot we reduces the emission, but it is not feasible solution. Instead of that, we can change the particular source of that particular energy. We can use the wind energy, we can use the geothermal, hydroelectric energy, solar energy instead of the fossil fuel units. Okay, so these are some techniques or the method which are used to reduce the emission, or which are used to emission control without using any particular device, right? Now, the different methods which are used to air pollution control, that is the main we are going to concentrate on. The first one, that is particulate matters, which are also called as the PM matters. Okay, generally those written as a PM, right? particulate matter. Now these matters, we can control these matters, amount of this particular matter in the flue gases by using different types of the devices, like different types of the cyclones are there, electrostatic precipitators are there, fabric filters are there, weight scrubbers are there. So these type of devices we can use to control the particulate matter into the flue gases. Similarly, to reduce the gases like the sulfur oxides, nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, etc. For that we can use the absorption towers, thermal insertion, then the catalytic combustion or the catalytic converter we can use to reduce these gases pollutant present inside the flue gases. So these are some commonly used methods or the devices, and the details we are going to see with respect to each and every pollutant. First one, that is the SOx control, or we can say the sulfur oxides control, or the oxides of the sulfur which we have to reduce. So the main, we can say the effect of sulfur which is present inside the flue gases, the main effect is that because of the sulfur oxides there will be a acid rain, acidic rains will causes, right? And because of that, it will going to badly affect the environment, it will badly affect the human being also, it will pollute all the water level, water sources, and also the other soil pollution also. It will cause also soil pollution. So controlling the sulfur oxides which are present in the flue gases, it is very important. Now for that, what we are going to see, we can use the different methods or the different devices to reduce the sulfur content from the flue gases. Okay, the first point or the first method is to change to the low sulfur fuel. That is the most important, and we can say one of the effective way to reduce the sulfur content in the flue gases. That is the change to the low sulfur fuel. Generally, if you saw nearly 2 decades or 3 decades earlier, in 90s, we are using some petroleum products which are having high sulfur content. Okay, but because now there are different types of the petrochemical refineries are there which will reduce the sulfur content into the fuel or into the petrol, into the diesel, and that will cause the reduction in the sulfur dioxide which is coming out from the flue gases. Okay, so we can use, instead of the petrol or any particular fuel having rich in sulfur dioxide or the sulfur content, instead of that we can use natural gas or the liquefied natural gas or the low surface oil or the low sulfur coal. Now we cannot control the sulfur content inside the coal or oil which is directly coming out from the mines. Instead of that, we have to carry out some methods. We have to carry out some processes on those fuel, and by different processes we can reduce this, and after that we can use those oil or coal into the burners or into the particular combustion. Okay, now that is the first method through which we can change or we can reduce the sulfur level itself in the fuel, and then it will definitely the sulfur level will be reduced in the flue gases. Another method is that use desulfurized coal or oil which is increases the effective stack height. So instead of that desulfurized coal, we can use the different effective stack height, or by increasing the stack height we can also reduce the sulfur content. For that we have to build tall stacks, then redistribute of stack gas velocity profile, and the modification of plume buoyancy. So these are some methods through which we can reduce the sulfur dioxide, or we can say the oxides of the sulfur in the flue gases. We can also use a flue gas desulfurization system, in which what we do, there are different methods through which we can reduce the sulfur oxide content into the flue gases. We can implement those methods, we can implement those devices into the flue gases system, and through which we can reduce or desulfurize the flue gases. Also we can use the alternative energy source, that is the basic one, that we instead of the different petrochemical or we can say the petrol or diesel as or conventional fuel, we can use other type of the fuels or the other type of energy resources. That is the best way to control the SO2 or the sulfur dioxide emission. Now In that, the most important, that is the flue gas desulfurization that we saw. So SO2 scrubbing or the flue gas desulfurization process can be classified. We can classify this particular process. First of all, what is the process? In whenever the flue gas is flowing after combustion, then it will contain sulfur dioxide, right? Now we have to reduce the level of sulfur dioxide into the particular flue gases. For that, we can implement different types of the methods, or we can carry out some chemical reaction. So this sulfur dioxide will chemically react with other particular material, and it will converted, or it will just precipitated on the filters. Okay, and that particular process or chemical reaction is called as a scrubbing, or we can generally it is now called as a sulfur dioxide scrubbing. Now this scrubbing method we can classify it into the two ways. That is, first one is throw away or regenerative type of system, which is again depends upon if you want to throw away or discard the recovered sulfur, or we can recycle that one. It is depends on that. Or we can also classify it on based upon wet or dry type of scrubbing, in which wet or dry type of scrubbing means the type of scrubber which are using, it is in the liquid state or solid state. So it depends upon that we can classify. Now there are different types of the processes which we can use, or the chemical reaction which we can use. The first one, that is limestone scrubbing, or we can use the lime scrubbing, dual alkali process, lime press drying, or Wellman-Lon process. So all in this particular processes, what we do, the sulfur dioxide will chemically react with the limestone, and it will be precipitated. It will be precipitated in the form of sulfur, and that sulfur we can directly discard it, or we can recycle that sulfur also. So these are some of the processes. I am not going to detail in those processes. You should know just an overview of those processes, means through which processes or which processes we can use to reduce the sulfur content inside the particular flue gases. Okay, so you can see the details of each and every processes. You will find it on the net, or I will also provide you the different notes which will consist the details of this type of processes. Now the next pollution, which or we can say the pollutant which is mainly present in the flue gases, that is the oxides of the nitrogen. Now the main reason of the creation of these oxides of nitrogen is that the combustion which is happen at very high level or very high temperature. Okay, so when the combustion will happen, or the combustion inside the IC engine which is happen at very high temperature, in that case the oxides of the nitrogen will form. We have to control these oxides of the nitrogen, because it is having very bad effect on the human being. Those are the poisonous to the human being, and also it is having very high global warming, or it will going to affect the environment in the very bad manner. So for that, to controlling the NOx, we can use the different methods. There are different types of the oxides of nitrogen which are present in the flue gases. Some of these has been listed here. You can see different. Those all are the oxides of the nitrogen, right? Now, from which this NO and NO2, nitrogen oxide and nitrogen monoxide and nitrogen dioxide. These are the two major oxides which are present in the flue gases. Okay, even those are present in exhaust of the IC engine. Okay, so these NO and NO2, we have to concentrate on these two particular type of nitrogen oxides, and for that we can use the different methods. One of the best or the famous method, that is use of catalytic converter. Those catalytic converter are generally used in your bikes or in your car also, to control the emission coming out from the internal combustion engine. Now you will see there are different types of methods are available to control the NOx or the nitrogen oxides emission. The first one, that is the fuel denitrogenation, means what? We have to reduce the amount of nitrogen present in the fuel itself, because whenever combustion will happen, the fuel will be converted into the gases, and as we know, nitrogen doesn't react with any or doesn't take any part in the combustion process, right? It is a it doesn't take any part in any combustion, any type of combustion process. So that nitrogen which is present inside the fuel, which will be directly released to the gases, or it will directly convert it to the gases, and it will directly going to react with the oxygen molecule, and it will go coming out from the throughout the exhaust. So in that case, we can reduce the nitrogen content of the fuel, and automatically the content of the nitrogen oxide into the flue gases will reduce it. Then combustion modification. Generally, the combustion process, which will mostly control the amount, the level of the creation of nitrogen oxide. So efficient combustion with the excess air, we can reduce the combustion NOx emission, or the level of the NOx from the flue gases. Then modification of different operating conditions. We can modify the operating condition like the temperature. We can control the combustion temperature. We can control the combustion pressure. So there are many operating conditions through which we can reduce the NOx, or we can control the level of NOx. Then another tail end control equipments are used. Means after combustion, whatever the flue gas is coming out, that flue gases can be passed through the different equipments. And after passing through the different equipments, the emission will be reduced, or the pollution level will be reduced. So for that, most important or famous is that catalytic use of the catalytic reduction or the catalytic converter. Okay, we can use the selective catalytic reduction, selective non-catalytic type of reduction, or electron beam radiation, staggered combustion, etc. So these are some methods or the devices in which these two devices are most popular, particularly the catalytic reduction. Okay, in catalytic converter, there are two types of catalysts are present. One is the used to reduction in the hydrocarbons, and one other one is used to reduction in the nitrogen oxides. Okay, so similarly, those tail end control equipments we can use to control the oxides of nitrogen emission level. Okay, then fuel denitrosation, that we saw that we can reduce the level of the nitrogen which is present inside the fuel itself. For that, we can remove this nitrogen by mixing the liquid fuel with the hydrogen gas. Now, after heating and mixing, this hydrogen gas will react with the nitrogen, and it will this hydrogen and nitrogen gas will unite, and this produces the ammonia, NH3, right? So this will produces the NH3, which is a cleaner fuel, and this NH3 can be used for the another combustion process. Now, this technology can reduce the nitrogen content in both naturally occurring and synthetic fuels. So in the both cases, after in the synthetic type of fuels also, and in the natural type of fuels also, we can use this particular method. Another one is combustion modification. So by maintaining the particular operating characteristics, or the we can say the combustion by modifying the combustion process, we can also control the NOx. Some of the methods are given below, that we can reduce the peak temperature of the flame zone by using these particular methods, by increasing the rate of flame cooling and by increasing the adiabatic flame temperature by dilation. Now, first of all, understand why nitrogen oxides are generated. Okay, so whenever there is high temperature, whenever there is combustion process carried out at the high temperature, nitrogen present inside the air, which will react with the oxygen. It will react with oxygen at very high temperature. It will require a very high temperature. So by reducing that high temperature or the peak temperature which is present in the combustion chamber, we can reduce the amount of nitrogen oxide present, or the formation of the nitrogen oxide. So for that, what we can do? We can carry out the combustion process at relatively low temperature. Okay, so that we can do. Another method is to reduce the residence time in the flame zone. For this, we can change the shape of flame zone. Now, the retaining period of the peak temperature, we can reduce that one. It will also going to reduces the nitrogen content or the formation of the nitrogen oxide. For that, we can reduce the residence time in the flame zone. That is another method. Then reducing the oxygen concentration in the flame. This can be accomplished by the decreasing the excess air, controlling mixing of fuel and air, and using a fuel-rich primary flame zone. Now, Why the oxygen? When oxygen which is present abundantly or the excessively in the combustion air or the combustion mixture, it will react with the nitrogen. So in that case, we can also reduce the level of nitrogen oxides or formation of the nitrogen oxide by decreasing the excess air provided to the combustion chamber, also by controlling the fuel air mixture and by using the fuel rich air mixture for the primary flame zone. So these are the different methods through which we can reduce or we can concentrating on the combustion process, and by reducing or just maintaining the oxygen content or the temperature control, we can reduce the level of nitrogen oxide. The next method, that is the modification of operating condition. By as we know, the thermal temperature of the combustion, now the particular combustion process, there are many factors which are going to affect the combustion process. Okay, the first way, that is reducing the combustion temperature. Okay, temperature at which combustion process will take place. So to reduce that one, we can use different methods. That is low excess firing process or the off stoichiometric combustion. Right, we can use the staggered combustion process. Then flue gas recirculation, we can recirculate the flue gas, so the average temperature of the combustion will reduces air preheating. By reducing the air preheating also, we can reduce the combustion. Now there are different factors. Okay, through different ways we can reduce this, but whenever we apply any particular method, it will going to affect the combustion process also. So we have to keep in mind that whatever method we are going to apply to reduce the temperature or to reduce the NOx, it doesn't badly affect on the combustion process. If it is badly affect on the efficiency of the combustion, then it is also going to affect the fuel consumption or the specific fuel consumption of that particular one, and it will indirectly affect the overall efficiency. So we have to keep in mind, whenever we apply any particular method, it does not badly affect on the or negatively affect on the other factors of the combustion process. Okay, so these are all related to the operating condition, and indirectly it will relate or related to the combustion process also. Okay, sometimes we inject the water into the combustion chamber, okay, to reduce the average combustion temperature also. Okay, so these are some types of the methods. I think these methods we already studied in IC engine, internal combustion engine. There also we try to reduce the combustion, the nitrogen oxide level. Now another type, or the devices, particularly different devices we can use, which are also categorized as the tail end control processes, in which you can use the different types of the catalytic converter. Whatever the flue gas coming out from the combustion chamber, that flue gas we can pass through the different catalytic reduction, where the nitrogen oxides will react with the oxygen, or it will react with the catalytes which are present in there, and after that the only nitrogen gas will coming out from the catalytic converter. So there nitrogen gas and oxygen will be separated by the catalytic reaction, and because of that only nitrogen gas and only oxygen will be coming out from the catalytic converter. So there are different types of the catalytic reduction are there, catalytic converter are there. We can use the electron beam radiation process, or we can use the staggered combustion process. So these are the different processes or the method through which we can control the nitrogen oxide. Now another type, or the type of emission or the pollutant which is present in flue gases, that is the carbon monoxide. Okay, as we know, carbon monoxide, which is having great global warming potential, it is toxic to the human, toxic in the nature. If human came in contact with the carbon monoxide for a long period, it will going to badly affect on the health of the human. So we have to reduce this carbon monoxide. One of the simple method that we can convert this carbon monoxide into the carbon dioxide, because carbon dioxide is not poisonous to the human being. Okay, so first of all, why the carbon monoxide we generated? Carbon monoxide we generated because of the absence of the excess oxygen, or the absence of the oxygen. So because of the incomplete combustion, you can see generally whenever the combustion process will happen, there will be oxygen will react with carbon, and the carbon dioxide will form. But instead of two molecules of the oxygen, only one oxygen atom will present there, and it will react with the carbon. That will cause the formation of the carbon monoxide. So absence of the oxygen will cause the formation of carbon monoxide. And to reduce these different strategies, CO, carbon monoxide and NOx control strategies are in conflict, because for the nitrogen oxide, to prevent the formation of nitrogen oxide, we have to reduce the excess air, or we have to reduce the oxygen content. But if you want to reduce, or if you want to control the carbon monoxide, we have to add more oxygen. Okay, so these two are just an opposite to each other. So we have to balancing between in these two particular strategies, or the two particular methods. Okay, now what are the sources of the carbon monoxide, or what are the stationary sources through which we can reduce the carbon monoxide emission? That is, first, proper designing of the engine, then the installation, operating and maintenance of the engine. We can use different processes like burning furnaces or waste heat boilers, through which we can reduce the carbon monoxide. So formation of the carbon monoxide, as we discussed, that is due to the insufficient oxygen, because whenever we say the carbon monoxide means, actually it should be converted into the carbon dioxide, but because of the absence of carbon oxygen, it will only one molecule, one atom of the oxygen will be present, and it will react with the carbon, which is causes formation of the carbon monoxide. Another factor, that is the fuel air ratio, that will also going to affect. Then degree of mixing is depends again the temperature, combustion temperature, that will again affect the formation of the carbon monoxide. There are many factors which will affect, but particularly due to the insufficient oxygen present, or if insufficient mixing of the air and the fuel, this carbon monoxide will form. So for that, first of all, we can use the different method like proper mixing of the fuel with the air. That is one of the factor. We can use the catalytic converter to reduce the carbon monoxide. So here what we do in catalytic converter, generally the catalytic converter will contain two type of reductions. Okay, first one is known as the reduction catalytic converter, and second one is known as the oxidizing catalytic converter. So first of all, it is here in the reduction type of catalytic converter, we reduces the nitrogen oxide. Means what? Here what we do, this NO2, consider there is a NO2, okay, or NO just, it will be split up into nitrogen and oxygen. It will split up into nitrogen and oxygen. Now here, coming out from here, it is only nitrogen and oxygen. Now this excess oxygen which is present here, it has been oxidized, or it will be combined with the carbon monoxide. So carbon monoxide and one oxygen atom will added, and it will create the CO2. Okay, so like that we can use the catalytic converter to reduce the level of the carbon monoxide which is present inside the fuel or the flue gases. We can also maintain, or we can also control the level of carbon monoxide by using different factors like the fuel air ratio, degree of mixing, temperature, different designing of the combustion chamber of the IC engine. So likewise you can control the carbon monoxide emission. Another emission, that is the particulate matter. As we know, it is generally known as, you can saw that is, or heard regarding that is PM matters, or the particulate matter. These are the very small objects, okay, or we can say it is just a fly ash. Okay, so these small matters, particulate matters, which is causes the lung cancer also, which is causes which is polluted the air, which will causes or which is having different effects on the human being. So we have to control this particulate matter. Now this particulate matter are mostly available in the coal-fired power plant, because whenever coal gets burned, it will produces these flue gases as well as the ash, right? That different very small particulates or the particles of the ash those are suspended inside the air, which is called as the particulate matter. Now, the diameter of this particular matter or particles are very small. It is in the 2.5 micrometer, 10 micrometer, etc. You generally heard regarding these particular matters in different mega cities like the Pune, Mumbai, Delhi, etc. So we have to control these particular matters which is coming out from the power plant, mostly the coal-based power plant. Now, there are different types of instruments we can use. Generally, we have to use those instruments to control the particular matters. These are different types of the dust collector you can use. Now, those dust collector are different types. Okay, it is also having different types, like the gravity or momentum collectors, then the centrifugal collector. Fabric filters are there. In the centrifugal collector, we can use the different types of cyclones, or the mechanical centrifugal collectors we can use. In fabric filters, we can use the bag houses or the fabric collectors we can use. So these are the different devices are there. We are going to see only some of the devices. I will show you the videos regarding, or I will share the videos regarding these particular types of the fabrics collectors or the different types of the cyclones. Okay. We can also use the electrostatic precipitators. Okay, where we collect the particular matter by using the electrostatic property. Okay, then we can use the weight collector by spraying the water into the flue gases. These water will just added to the particular matter, and it will came down. These particular matters will came down with the water to the ground level. So by using weight collector also we can control the emission of particular matter. For that we can use the spray drawers. Then in pigment scrubbers we can use weight cyclones, peaked towers we can use, and mobile bed scrubbers also we can use. We are not going to going for the details construction and working of all those ones. We are going to see the electrostatic precipitators. Those are important. Different types of the collectors. These two we are going to see. I will share the videos of the working and the construction of these two. Now we can also use the different mechanisms, that is the gravity settling, centrifugal impaction, inertial impaction, direct insertion, diffusion, electrostatic. So these are just different methods which are used to reduce or to control the particular matters which are present in the flue gases. Okay. After that, the different sources. There are different sources. All the industrials, different industries which are concerning regarding the coal power plant, which are regarding the furnace or which will contain the combustion process, and we can use where we uses the coal as a fuel. From that particular industry, particular matter is ejected or the exhausted. Like the iron and steel means where we use the blast furnaces. Then the petroleum refineries are there. Then the Portland cement industries. Then asphalt batching plants, production of the sulfuric acid, production of phosphoric acid, that is also causes formation of particular matters. Then the soap and synthetic detergent manufacturing factories. Then the glass and glass fiber industry and instant coffee plants. So these are some of the sources, industrial sources of the particular matters. Particular matters also released by the thermal power plant. Thermal power plants are the major source of these particular matters. Okay, because in thermal power plant which are on coal-based thermal power plant, where we burn the coal in the tons. Okay, so it generally 10 to 20 tons of coal will be hourly consumed by the coal-based thermal power plant. So most of the particular matter which will the major source is the thermal power plant. Okay, and we can use these particular different types of the methods to reduce the particular matter content from the flue gases. Now, what are the effects? That is the reduction in the visibility. When these particular matter will kept suspended into the air, that will reduce the visibility. It will also causing soil of nuisance, because the pH level of this particular matter is much more acidic, and when it's just settle down on the land, it will, or the on the soil, which will causes the soil of nuisance. Okay, it will affect the soil quality. These cyclones, I will just share the videos. These cyclones, advantages, disadvantages are generally given here. In the cyclones, just I will explain the principle. The particles which are removed by the application of centrifugal forces. Okay, so when these flue gases will revolve in the terms of or in the styles of cyclone, because the particular matter having some mass, it will just, because of the centrifugal force, it will going in the outer direction, and it has been collected down. So this I will share even videos regarding these cyclones. Similarly, the fabric filters is just an simple type of the filters where there is mesh and the flue gases will be passed through that fabric, and these fabrics, the gas will easily pass out, but the particular matters will just adhere to that particular filters. Okay, so this is the simple one. That is the advantages, disadvantages of the fabric filter. Then the electrostatic precipitators. This is the important one. This particular device is most important. Here we are using the electrostatic force, or we can say the electrostatic property of that particular matters. Okay, where what we do, we are applying the electricity or the voltage, and that particular exhaust gas will be passed through it. Because as we know, the particular matters are charged. Okay, whenever it is passed through the electric field, it will be absorbed by the collector plates, and that's how we can reduce the particular matter. The detailed video, I will also share the detailed videos of the working of the electrostatic precipitator. But this is the important, we can say, the device now in the industries, because the effectiveness of electrostatic precipitator is very high whenever we compare it to the other processes. Okay. That is their advantages, disadvantages. The main disadvantage is that it is having initial capital cost. Definitely, the electrostatic will contain high initial capital cost, and there must be we have to provide the continuous electricity to the precipitator. The main advantage is that it will reduce it is having very high efficiency. It is very effective in whenever we reduces the particular matter, and it's having the efficiency in the nearly 100%. Okay, it is in the range of 99.5 to 99.9%. So you can see, if you want to effectively reduce the particular matter level, then we have to use the electrostatic precipitator. Then the wet scrubber, we have to spray the water, and then the water will be added with the particular matters, and it will just settle down. So that's how also we can reduce. That is called as the wet scrubber. So I am not going to in details of these particular scrubbers or the devices. I will just share the videos. Just see those videos, and you will understand the working. Then the hydrocarbons. Now, what are the main factors or the causes because of that hydrocarbons will produce it? The main cause is that there is a incomplete combustion. Okay, so because of the incomplete combustion, hydrocarbons, as we know, fuel means it is just a hydrocarbons, right? So because of the incomplete combustion, the hydrocarbons will present, or the hydrocarbons molecules are present inside the flue gases. Okay, so for that we can use the different methods like the direct flame incineration, thermal incineration, catalytic incineration. Okay, means after the combustion, we are going to again carry out the combustion process to complete combustion of the hydrocarbons. Okay, that's how we can reduce it. We can also use the catalytic converter to reduce its emission from the flue gases. Okay, so we can use the VOC in this particularly VOC incinerators, where we thermally oxidize the particular unburned hydrocarbons, and the complete oxygen will take place, and after oxidization or the combustion process, you will get the carbon dioxide and the water. Okay, these details I am not going there. Okay, this I will provide you the video of this incinerator. Okay, so these are the different pollutants which are used to control. Now there are different gases are also are there, so which we have to control. For that we can use the different methods or the devices like the absorption towers, thermal incinerators, catalytic combustion, etc. So this is just an conclusion of this particular whole lecture. Okay, so these are some types of the pollutants which are the major pollutants which are coming out from the thermal power plant, and these methods which we have stated earlier in this particular regarding that each and every pollution control devices, those are used to control the pollutant in the flue gases. Okay, this is particularly used for the flue gases and major pollution which is coming out from the flue gases rather than any wastewater or any other feed water. Okay, so these are the some methods. I will share the working videos or some videos regarding those precipitators or the electrostatic collector, etc. Because it is not possible for us to take the details of each and every instrument here. Okay, so that is regarding the pollution control devices. We saw in previous lectures, we saw the pollution measurement or the gas measurement devices or the oxygen content devices, measurement devices we saw, and these are the control devices. Measurement devices are different one, control devices are different one. Okay, so this is the control devices. So we will stop here. In the coming lectures we are going to see the remaining points. Those are the energy management and energy audit and energy marketing, and also the operation and maintenance procedure. Okay, so we will stop here. In the next lecture we are going to see or we are going to cover the remaining points. Thank you.